Hello, everybody. My name is Alethea Hobruch Granados, and I'm the CCP/ELS teacher at Eisenhower High School. My team that created this document I'm going to share with you guys is Alma Avalos. She's at Carter CCP, and Eileen Estrada, who's at Rialto High School CCP. So we're high school, and this is all coming from ELPAC 910 test release stuff. And it's also linked to Achieve. We use Achieve, which is a reading program. So some of these articles have to do with some of the articles students will see in Achieve, but you don't have to use Achieve in order to access and use these activities that we created. So the idea behind it was to give the students more exposure to speaking and writing activities. In our classes, our focus is Achieve, which is reading. And when we sit down and collaborate, we're like, okay, what kind of data do we have on our kids? Yeah, we can look at ELPAC, we can look at grades. And then, of course, our Achieve, their Lexile levels and how they're growing. But when we think about the ELPAC, they're being tested in all 4 domains, right? Reading, writing, speaking, and listening. So we wanted to come up with 2 other ways that we can give students exposure and practice in those areas and have some good data on them, hopefully, good positive data. So that's where this whole thing came about. And yes, we do have to grade and give them feedback, which takes a little time, but if we work it in and give them, a few of these a month, by the end of the year, they will have practiced them enough to really see some growth in these areas. So if we look at this one pager, we decided to focus 2 areas of the speaking, right, on the ELPAC. The last 2 areas are always the toughest ones. They're easy at first, and then towards the end, they get really hard, right? If you're familiar with the ELPAC. So we decided to focus on the present and discuss information. I wonder if this works. And let's see, I'm trying to mess with the Screencastify. And summarize an academic presentation, right? So we focus on these 2, and we have an initial assessment and then a final assessment, and then all this practice in between. So these are all linked. If you just open one up, it'll open the document. And this one right here, the initial assessment, looks like this. And it's actually from the ELPAC, and all you do is you read it to them. So this where it says teacher, you read all of this to them. I did this one today with my students, and I had them open. I created a flip grid. So I said, get your flip grids open, ready to go. I presented this to them. I didn't share it with them. I just presented it. I read it to them, and I said, tell me you're ready in the chat box. Yes, yes, yes. I made sure every student said yes. They have their flip grid open. I read it to them. I said, now go record yourselves responding. So we did it. And but before I had them do this, I definitely went over the rubric with them. So we have also my team, we simplified the rubric because, ELPAC rubric, it's like super long. So we're like, what's the gist of this? Let's just get the gist. So we did that. So that's what this looks like. And this rubric is the link will take you to all 3 rubrics that are used in all of our little practice activities. So this is the rubric for the justify an opinion. Then we have present and discuss information. There's 2 parts. Remember, they have to talk about the graph or the pie chart, and then they have to say if the claim is supported or not. So these are the 2 rubrics for that one. And then the last speaking is the summarize an academic presentation. So the rubrics are there, and I feel it's so much more beneficial to go over the rubric with the students first, and we focus on the difference between a 3 and a 2. What does that mean? And that gives the students a great insight to know what kind of language they need to produce in order to score well on the ELPAC. And they never get to see the rubric ahead of time. And I just think we should always show rubrics before we expect performance from students. So that's just kind of how this is all set up. Where'd my mouse go? Oh, it disappears when I go on the screen. Let me go over here and take this. I don't even know what these buttons are. Oh, look, there we go. That's cool. Look what you can do on Screencastify. Anyways, so we have, summarize an academic presentation. And then down here is the justify an opinion. So, in a perfect world, we'll give the initial assessment in August. practice them once a month by the end of the year, give the final or before the ELPAC, right? And that's what we have. Okay, this is bugging me now. Let me take this off. Whoa. Anyways, now the summarize an academic presentation, there is a little piece where they're going to have to listen to it. So hopefully the links work. Dedos cruzados that they work. And again, I don't recommend sharing this with the student because then they can listen to it over and over and over again. We want them to really get like the feel of the ELPAC, and they get to listen to it once and then bam, say your answer. So that's what we're doing. And I just thought it'd be cool to put everything. Oh, my computer's being really slow to open this. I thought it'd be really cool to put everything on one page, easy, quickly to be able to access it for teachers. Everything's just all there for you. So here's the initial, and this is actually from the ELPAC. And my kids did pretty good on this. I was really impressed. So you, again, teacher, you just read all this italicized stuff to them and then let them play with it and practice answering these questions. So that's the gist of why we did this. And again, it's high school 9th through 10th. But to be honest, you guys, like when I helped create the ELD formative assessments for reading and listening that we're using to measure language loss. The questions aren't that different from grades 3 through 5 to grades 6 through 8 on the ELPAC. They're pretty similar. So I think this can totally be used at any grade level. ELPAC is just measuring language. And one more thing, we decided to do speaking and writing because those are things that are output. There's a language that gets outputted. Can you tell I'm a former Spanish teacher? So reading and listening go in, speaking and writing come out. So there's really no real way to measure that, when we're giving kids quick little practice with the ELPAC. So we wanted to make sure we give them exposure to the output part of language learning. So hope that helped. Sorry I couldn't be there with you guys today. I'm in an Innovate Ed meeting this afternoon. But if you have any questions, again, Alethea Granados, actually it's Hobruge. They have me under Hobruge Granados, and hope this helps your students.